Hey, Leo here with Focus Snowboards. Welcome to a blustery day in the Canadian Rockies. And today we're going to look at turn size and turn shape. So pretty foundational skill sets to have. Most of us do it without really thinking about it anyway. But for those that don't know what these things are, we're going to unpack them a little bit more and show you how they really are the gateway to riding all over the mountain at every level. So when you're out cruising around the mountain, there's a few things that will make you decide the line you take and where you choose to go. And it might be everything from the snow conditions, the pitch, what's coming up in front of you, the people around you, and certain obstacles that could be in the way as well. So all of these things will kind of cause a rider to make a decision on where they want to go, where they want to take their snowboard next. Regardless of whether you've taken lessons before, when you're watching riders, you're on the lift, you can kind of see what people are up to. No one's following the same line, no one's following the same pattern and blueprint for what they're doing. And it's because of this individual difference that people love snowboarding. You've got this freedom to go and do what you want to do, go where you want to go and do the things that kind of interest you on your snowboard. And having turn size and turn shape dialed in are the key foundational skills that allow you to do that as a snowboarder. So for the purpose of this video today and this introduction to turn size and shape, we're going to focus quite intentionally on one simple set of movements and go from there. This isn't a look at how to make the most efficient turns on your snowboard. This certainly isn't a discussion about what's right and wrong. What this is going to be really useful for is you understanding how to use your rotational movements or your steering movements on your snowboard to help influence its line when you want to do so. So when we're talking about rotational movements and steering in snowboarding, we're talking about the way that you move in this direction on your snowboard. You can call it spinning if you like. I've heard it been called twisting before as well, which can be a bit misleading for some. But this is what we're talking about. So when I talk steering and steering movements, it's all about what my body is doing in terms of rotation. And I'm going to be thinking about this as complete whole body steering. So what I mean by that is I'm going to be turning everything I can through from the knees, the hips, the chest, shoulders, head, up, like everything, whole body, total body, all going together at the same time. Okay, so when we're talking about turn size, I like to use language like small, medium, large. This just gives you a nice clear idea of what the actual turn size is going to look like. Now in terms of defining those, the difference between a small, medium and large is the amount of time spent traveling downhill throughout the middle of the arc of the turn. So this bit right here. So in a small turn, I don't spend much time at all in that downhill part of the turn. In a medium turn, like I'll move into one now, I'm going to spend more time through that downhill portion. And in a larger turn, which I'll move into now, much more time through that downhill portion, giving me an opportunity as a rider to pick up more speed. Now the important thing to know about all of these turn sizes is that the time that you spend moving down the hill should be matched by an approximately equal amount of time moving across the hill. That's what gives you symmetry, that's what gives you flow. Otherwise I can do a really, really big traverse, kind of pick a time I like to turn, throw a small turn on the end of it, and then traverse all the way back. That's going to kill your flow while you're out on the mountain, and is often a point of indecision where we call, shopping for turns or looking around for what you like the look of for your next turn. So now with a nice idea of what those small, medium and large turns are, it's just figuring out how to actually change the size of that turn with our body, how we make our snowboards do that. So this one's real straightforward. All we're going to do is change the speed at which we use our steering wheel. So the whole body turning together. If I turn my whole body quicker, So 1, 2, 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3 seconds. I end up with a smaller turn. So watch me change that to a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I start naturally riding through a larger turn. That gives me more time going down the hill, picking up more speed. So as a snowboarder, if I'm choosing to ride a line where I want a little bit more speed and I want to go faster, I want to still maintain a nice rounded turn shape, then I need to use a larger turn over a smaller turn. So obviously for those turns that I was showing you, I was using counting as my timing method just to help me increase the speed of my steering or slow it down. For you, you can use whatever works best. Counting's great, it's popular. Breathing's another popular one. And also if you're musically minded, you can use a faster tempo song or a slower tempo song or hum some tunes to yourself. Whatever it kind of helps you align the timing of those steering movements to help influence the size of the turn is going to work best. With a good solid understanding of turn size out of the way, we're going to dive into turn shape. We're going to keep things real simple and stay with that whole body steering wheel analogy, just so these things become transferable and nice and easy for you to use whilst you're out on the mountain. So when we're looking at turn shape, we're looking at a more closed or more rounded shape of the turn, something like this, and that's going to guarantee that I start and finish my turns with good control over my speed before I choose to move to my next turn. My next option is a more open shape, so not closing the turn off, and you can see already I'm picking up a lot of speed, which means I'm going to have to pump the brakes, which is what a lot of snowboarders end up doing. Picking up lots of speed, pumping the brakes, picking up speed, pumping the brakes. So the idea behind turn shape is to avoid having to do that. It's fun for sure at times, but for the most part, if you want to keep flow in your riding, you want to be making a decision to move from a closed turn to help maintain speed and control speed to a more open turn when the terrain allows it. And then when you want to, or when you choose to scrub more of that speed off, you can move back to a more closed turn and bring some of that speed back down before you make your next turn. So with an understanding of what turn shape is, now we're going to look at how we change it and what we need to do with our steering wheel, our whole body steering wheel, when we want to make those changes. So I've got my whole body steering wheel and I'll walk you through a nice closed turn. So what I'm going to do is use my steering wheel for longer and more time through the turn. If I keep turning my body, my snowboard is going to keep turning. So I turn my whole body, I keep turning it, and my speed comes down through a closed turn. Same again through the heel edge, I keep turning, and my speed comes down. So for the turn shape, it's more about the length of time that you continue to use your whole body steering wheel that dictates how closed or how open your turn's going to be. So with a mellow pitch out behind me, this is a really, really sweet opportunity to practice some more of the open turns. So as a reminder, my whole body steering, I'm choosing to use it for less time. So as I go through my turns, if I do a closed turn, say I count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On my next turn, I'm going to count to 3 before I change edges. And all that's going to do is leave my turn more open because I've used less steering or less range with my steering wheel. So let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, edge change. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And if I feel like I'm going too fast, I continue to turn my steering wheel until I slow down to a speed that I'm more comfortable with. And as with the turn size, you know, it's these concepts of timing and counting and rhythm and flow, that they all add up to a more effortless feeling behind your snowboarding. So if you're struggling with that, I always recommend counting. I can recommend breathing exercises through that. And also singing and listening to music as you're riding is often a popular way to help bring about that change in tempo. Obviously, if you're listening to your tunes, maybe keep an ear out so you can hear what's going on around you. So I know the run's going to steepen up a bit here. So I'm going to take my more open turns I was just doing at a medium size, and I'm going to see if I can make them more closed and smaller. And when I tell you that, you should be expecting to see a slightly steeper run in front of me, because a smaller turn that's more closed means that I'm going to be making an active decision to control my speed and bring it down more. Now, just as a little bonus lasting thought here, I know a lot of riders do struggle with a run when it goes from steep to flat. It's often the point where there's a couple of big edge catches, which is a huge put off for riding flat terrain at speed in the future. And this is why a smaller, more closed turn isn't going to suit a piece of flat terrain out in front of me. When the run flattens off, if I have my snowboard across the hill in a closed turn shape, I'm actually more likely to catch an edge on a flat run, because it's harder for me to balance over an edge angle on a really, really mellow run compared to something steeper. So I need to be able to open that up and keep the nose of my snowboard pointing more down the hill, with the tail following the nose of the board. So that's a nice simple look at turn size and shape. If you're not familiar with the concepts or you don't know how to do them, this really is a gateway to being able to ride more of the mountain with control, confidence and flow, which is often a pinch point for a lot of riders, especially those transitions from steep to flat, those narrower trails where you don't feel like you've got room to turn. If you can get out with some wide open space and practice these foundational skills of small, medium, large and open and closed, you're going to find that your confidence grows exponentially, and you're going to have a way easier time cruising around the mountain and a more enjoyable time finding your way around.